Okay. I can't believe that we just have a few days left. I feel like I'm only scratching the surface of things I want to talk to you about. So, a couple things about transitioning out of cleanse land. I have decided to stay on a version of the cleanse, meaning I will stick to the yes and the no list. I will definitely not focus on 2 liquid meals a day. That honestly just hasn't worked for me very well this time around. There are times where that works really great for me, and this time I just wasn't getting enough calories, so I've increased my solid food, and I noticed today especially my energy levels are so much better. So with that said, part of the benefit of doing something like this for 3 weeks is essentially you're on an anti-inflammatory diet. And in the nutrition therapy world, what that lends you is the opportunity to explore food sensitivity. So if there are those of you out there who suspect you might have some food sensitivities, some things to look for with food sensitivities, really when someone comes into my office, if I see like bags under their eyes, puffiness or swelling underneath their eyes, or them complaining of joint pain, primarily swelling, those are good indicators of food sensitivities. Especially like dark circles under the eyes are like dead ringer. So there's a couple things you can do. You can do what's called a pulse test. So first, before I dive into the pulse test, you want to reintroduce one food at a time. And when you reintroduce it, make sure that you're not reintroducing it with other things. That's really, really important because too many variables and you're not getting a good reading. So when you reintroduce that, you can do something called a pulse test. I'll post the instructions, but basically it means you document changes in your pulse when you eat the food. And so number one, that's really good. Number two, you can look for those symptoms. Did your allergy symptoms come back? Do you have puffy or dark circles under the eyes? Are you complaining of aches and pains and joint swelling? And you want to eat it pretty regularly when you reintroduce it for like 3 days. And then, so the philosophy is you eat it, like if you're doing gluten or wheat, then do the wheat, like eat it. And I'm not saying like tons of it, but make sure you eat enough and do it for 3 days and then remove it again for 3 days and document everything. That's going to be a good indicator of whether or not you're sensitive to that and whether it's gluten or dairy or whatever it is. So if you consume it, like you have spaghetti and you have like some toast or whatever, do that for 3 days and then do none of it again for 3 days and see what happens. The other thing that you want to make sure and consider is before you reintroduce another food, go back to just the yes and no list for a solid week. So you'll do the 3 days on, 3 days off, see if you notice any difference, and then wait another 4 days before you introduce a new food. And I know that seems complicated, but like you're already here. And if you suspect you have like 1 or 2 food sensitivities, that's really just another 2 weeks. And it's not even so restrictive of the liquid meals and timing and all of that. It's really just following the yes and no list. So I would really encourage you to do that and see where you land. And follow the instructions of the pulse test because that will be a good supportive tool for you now and in the future. So for those of you who haven't answered the questions from yesterday's post, please do so. I really, really think it's important for you to take the time to reflect on your experience and to remind yourself why you do this. And it's part of your self-care to give yourself the opportunity to reflect. So don't sell yourself short there. All right, happy Thursday.